Hi, Sarah. I thought it'd be easier for me to send you a video. I will go over your question from last week on the osteoporosis, and then I will go over the injury. But one thing to keep in mind, I usually will go over all of your questions after the due date. But this time I will go through them right now. And the other thing is, if you do want to meet me via Zoom, it would be at my time, usually on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Central. So I would assume that would be 1 o'clock your time or Pacific. And you just need to let me know so that I am aware to make sure I do Zoom in. And usually anytime between 3 and 4 on Wednesdays, I am able to meet with you. So just kind of let me know. Okay, so let's go back to your question here on why we are coding the patient's osteoporosis. So let's look here at the second paragraph. During her admission, the patient has an evaluation of her hearing by an audiologist. So that's why we coded the hearing loss because they're looking into it. Okay. So as I stated, this hearing test is going to get billed and you need a diagnosis for it to get billed. So that's why we're coding the hearing loss. Same thing with the lab work. The lab work's going to be billed and we need a diagnosis to justify that lab work. And that diagnosis is going to be the osteoporosis. Okay? Because they, again, are doing the lab work to probably seeing if it's gotten any worse, any better, where they're at that point. So hopefully that makes sense on why we are coding that. So here I'm going to go over, let me push this to your question number 2. And like I said, I think after the due date, you're going to be able to see my little notes. So that will help also. Um, and after the due date on a lot of these, I will individually send out videos to students. But let's go over this right now. So I went ahead and typed in injury. Okay, and you're looking in your book under injury. And then you're going to go down to intracranial, correct? Okay. So as you see here, you have S06.9, right? So when you look this up in your tabular, you have S06.9, but you see that little plus mark means we need more codes. Okay, so I have S069. You have to have an X. So I'm not quite sure where you found the A. Kind of look in here. As I go down further, S069, I don't, since you have 9A, I don't see a 9A. One thing to keep in mind is that if you weren't looking in the tabular, this is going to throw you off. So we want to go to S069, and then you're going to go with X. And we know that it was an intracranial injury with loss of consciousness of 30 minutes or less. So I don't know if you put in your 7th character right away, but keep in mind, so then this is my 7th character A because it's the initial encounter. So I have S06.9X1A. Once again, I just don't think you looked far enough in your tabular. So double check that, make sure you're on the same page as I am. So you look up the main term, but you need to double check it for more digits in the tabular. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about number 5. Okay, so with this one here, like I said, right here we have burn trunk 3rd degree. And I think, let me look to see what you had. You had T213A. Okay. So once again, I think it's just that you're not going far enough. let's go ahead and type in burn, or look up burn, I should say, in your book. Okay, so once we get to burn, we want to go to trunk. Okay, so once we are at trunk, we know that it is 3rd degree. Okay, this is from the documentation right here. Okay, yes, 1st, 2nd, 3rd degree burns of his hand. If we go over here, 2nd and 3rd degree of his hand, his left hand. Let's go here when we talk about the trunk on his body, right here, sorry. 25% 3rd degree burn of his trunk. Okay, so we know that it's 3rd degree, so I hit burn trunk. I want to go down to 3rd degree, which is T21.30. So let's look to see. We have T21.3A. So once again, I just think you're not looking far enough, or maybe not double checking in your tabular. So here I have T21.30. Right, so when I click on that, we know it's initial. So it's going to give me the T21.30XA. So hopefully that helps with that one. Okay, let's move on to your last question. This one here, let's look at what you stated. Okay, the root operation was reposition. You said you struggled with it. Okay, you knew that it wasn't resection. Okay. They did take actually the crane, or they did take some of the bone out, but keep in mentioning that. But the bigger procedure here is they're doing the elevation. Okay. So let's go to that. So even in your PCS book, if you would look up elevation, I just missed it here. So if I look up elevation, okay, bone fragments of the skull, that's exactly what they're doing. Then it tells you right here, see reposition head and facial bones. So that's going to take you to your 0, you find it here, your 0NS. Okay. So this one here, like I said, if you were going to the craniectomy, keep in mind that it's leading into a bigger surgery, which is the elevation. This is diagnostic. A lot of time your craniectomies are diagnostic, so that's why you're going with the elevation. And a lot of this is just taking time, practice. Make sure you look at the guidelines in the PCS. That will help. So I am hoping that this video helped you a lot. And make sure you let me know if you have any questions. But one thing to keep in mind, I always go through everyone's assignment after they're due. I usually try to send out a video to the whole group or individually, depending on, what they have wrong. So if you do want to talk on Wednesdays, just send me a inbox and just let me know and we can set something up. Hope you have a great weekend.